The Republic of Consciousness Prize Longlist has just been announced. Wait, I feel like I filmed this already. If you think you've seen a video about this already from me, you're right. The prize longlist I'm talking about today is the UK Republic of Consciousness Prize. And what we've talked about already previously on this channel is the US and Canada Republic of Consciousness Prize. This here, my friends, the UK version is the original Republic of Consciousness Prize, started in the UK. They've been doing this for 9 years now, and just today, the long list of 10 titles was announced. You might be seeing this a bit later, depending on when I can edit all of this together. So it might not be the day that the long list was announced for you, but for me, the long list has just made it into my inbox this morning, and I did not film a live reaction today because, alas, it was at 5 a.m. and I don't think anybody wanted to see me on camera at 5 a.m. in the morning. I do have the long list to share with you, and I would love to share these 10 books with you along with the publishers that put these amazing books out. So the Republic of Consciousness Prize is a literary prize dedicated to small publishers of fiction. They are dedicated to promoting these incredible small publishers who often take such huge risks in order to put out works of high literary merit into the world for us readers who love that kind of thing. I'll quickly share with you the criteria for being nominated for this literary prize because it's a little bit different than the North American version of the prize. So the small press is eligible to nominate a work of literary fiction to the prize if that small press is completely financially independent of any other business, like a larger publisher or a bookshop or anything like that. And they also must have 2 of the following 3 things be true about the publisher. So they have to publish 8 or fewer original titles a year. That is tiny. 8 or fewer original titles a year. 4 or fewer full-time workers and regular freelancers must be counted. So 2 of these 3, a turnover including all grants of less than £100,000 per year in 2 of the last 3 financial years. So basically, they're tiny. A publisher is allowed to nominate 1 entry per publisher. The US and Canada version this year, one of their judges is a YouTuber, and he shared all of their nominees, which was really cool. I haven't seen that for the UK version of the prize. I would highly recommend it because I found for the US and Canada prize, I found a lot of books that didn't make it to the long list, but were nominated that I would otherwise have completely missed, including one which might be a favorite for the year, and that's The Lodgers by Holly Pester from Assembly Press. So I don't know who was nominated for the UK Republic of Consciousness Prize, but we do now know the long list. So I'm going to share that with you today. And I'm going to share this in the order that the prize judges shared it in their email, so they said it's in no particular order. Without further ado, the long list. Daybook by Nathan Knapp from the publisher Splice. And this is a debut novel that the prize judges call a strange, somber novel in which a troubled young writer unpacks the legacy of his religious upbringing, and which takes place, at least partially from my understanding, in the author's childhood home in southeastern Oklahoma. This sounds more or less plotless, or should we say plot-free? It's not like it's missing something, it's free from something. I'm going to start saying plot-free instead of plotless, I've decided in this moment, but is densely packed with deep explorations of writing and identity. The publisher, Splice, is a very small press that publishes 3 collections of short stories every 2 years, as well as an online review and an anthology. Next up is Invisible Dogs by Charles Boyle from CB Editions. Invisible Dogs is a travel diary. Invisible Dogs is a novel that takes the form of a travel diary of an English writer invited to an authoritarian country in which there are no dogs. But this writer keeps seeing them vanishing around corners. There are rumors of dogs gathering in the mountains, preparing for an assault on the city. Ali Smith blurbs this book and says it's funny, sinister, thought-moving like light, subtly then increasingly terrifying. And M. John Harrison says, Invisible Dogs is such a direct, lucid text that the reader might mistake it for a simple record of a visit to an authoritarian country. CB Editions was founded in 2007. They publish short fiction, poetry, translations, and other work, which, as The Guardian noted, might otherwise fall through the cracks between the big publishers. I love that description. I also love just their personality on their website. So they just are really upfront about saying around a fifth of the titles they publish have sold fewer than 100 copies. Some of them sell more. Some titles are now out of print. They receive no Arts Council funding and rely entirely on the sales of books to stay afloat. And they are a one-person venture run from a desk in a family living room and cannot offer work experience placements or internships. There are no submission guidelines. Writers wishing to send work simply do so in whatever form they choose. I love that. Next up, There's a Monster Behind the Door by Gaëlle Bellem, translated from the French by Karen Fleetwood and Laetitia Saint-Lubert. This is from Boulogne Press, and this takes place on the island of La Réunion in the 1980s, rich with detail of the island's customs and post-colonial legacies. This novel follows a dangerous family clan and a little girl who is a member of that clan and who attempts to escape her family's violent reign of terror. The Press is a newer publisher, pretty new within the past couple years, based in Ireland, that focuses exclusively on books and translation, which they say is the first of its kind in Ireland. They are an advocate as well for the work of translators, especially Irish and Ireland-based translators. Then we have Mother Naked from Peninsula Press by Glenn James Brown. This is set in Durham in 1434 in the shadow of the Black Death and the Peasants' Revolt. A minstrel arrives to entertain the richest men of the city. He tells the tale of a terrifying ghost, the Fell Wraith. But the monster, the Fell Wraith, might not be as imaginary as the minstrel's wealthy audience believes. This is so cool because one of the UK and Canada longlisted prizes was The Case of Jem, which I just finished, and that takes place in 1481. So it's just kind of cool to have two similarly historical periods represented on both lists. Peninsula Press was founded in East London in 2018. They are committed to challenging, subversive, bold books. And they say, and I love when publishers share the inspiration behind the name of their press. So they say, a peninsula is a piece of land that is almost entirely surrounded by water, yet attached to the mainland. We have chosen this as the name of our publisher because we believe it captures the mixture of independence and connection that defines our publishing, our desire to reach for something new while remaining grounded in the community of readers, writers, booksellers, workers, and other publishers who sustain us. I love that. Selina by Catherine Axelrad, translated by Philip Terry from Les Fugitifs. This novel was drawn from Victor Hugo's diary entries and letters to his wife. It's a short novel that tells the story of a curious and intelligent teenage chambermaid employed in the Hugo household during the author's exile. Prey to Hugo's gargantuan sexual appetites, the novel, originally published in French in 1997, explores issues of sexual consent and class relations. The publisher was originally, when they first started, completely dedicated to Francophone women writers. So completely dedicated to women writing in French and translating those women into English. But now their catalog has expanded a bit and they include some English originals and other French voices. Not just women anymore, but the majority of their catalog has a lot of feminist themes. Somewhere Else by Jenny Daches from Scotland Street Press. It's about a 5-year-old girl whose family is murdered and she's forced to leave everything behind except her suitcase of clothes and her father's violin. It's an epic multi-generational novel about womanhood and Judeo-Scottish experience across the 2 world wars, the creation of Israel and the fall of the Berlin Wall. It's a novel which explores today's most difficult and urgent questions, not least of which, how to find identity in displacement. And Scotland Street Press is a small publisher in Scotland, and they publish a really wide range of voices and genres, but all of their books are based on the fact that they have a great story to tell, and in doing so, they bring Scotland into an international literary conversation. From Holland House Books is Crooked Seeds by Karen Jennings, and this follows a character named Deirdre in Cape Town, South Africa. This is from an author who was previously longlisted for the Booker Prize was longlisted for the Booker Prize. I'm hungry, it's lunchtime, but I'm not having fries. This follows Deirdre, who lives in Cape Town, South Africa, and Deirdre is a victim of her family, her society, her history. At least that's how she sees herself, and so she feels free of all obligations, moral and practical. She lives day to day in squalor until one day the police take her back to her family home, which is also where she happened to previously lose her leg in a shattering explosion while she was still young. And she must confront herself and her responsibility and what it is truly to be a victim. And Holland House Books is an independent publisher specializing in literary fiction and nonfiction, crime, and historical fiction. How to Leave the World by Marouane Bakhti, translated by Lara Vergniaud from Divided Publishing. This book is blurred by Annie Ernaux, and Annie Ernaux says this is a rare book that depicts the isolation and poetry of rural life. And the publisher says about the book, everyone is asking about his identity. Gay, Muslim, French, Moroccan. Instead of choosing a side, he writes a book about the forest and the city, Paris and Tangiers, shame and forgiveness, dating apps and spiritual discovery. A book about growing up as a diaspora kid in rural France with desires that want to emerge at any cost. Told in mesmerizing prose, How to Leave the World is a beautiful non-answer. And Divided Publishing is an independent publisher based in both Brussels and London, and they say, not knowing is its unpower. At large, we publish authors who cannot balance or resolve their contradictions, who struggle to make peace in the industry or genre or category or world in which they end up, which is very cool sounding. Don't know exactly what it means, but that's probably what they intended. Next up is The Seers by Solomon Adonia. This is from Prototype. This follows a character named Hannah during her first few weeks as a homeless refugee from Eritrea. The novel moves between the present day of Hannah's situation as a refugee and to the past to explore intergenerational histories and colonial trauma alongside the psychological and erotic lives of its characters as their identities are shaped, but refuse to be suppressed by the bureaucratic processes of the UK asylum system. Prototype is a publisher that creates new possibilities in the publishing of fiction and poetry through a flexible interdisciplinary approach and the production of unique and beautiful books. They do this through kind of 4 pillars that they focus on. They publish poetry, prose, interdisciplinary projects, and anthologies. And I will note for US viewers, this is also being published by Coffee House Press this spring 2025. And thank you to Daniel from my Discord group for pointing that out. And finally, Good Lord from Ella Frears from Rough Trade. This book is actually called Good Lord, an Email. Amazing title. This takes the form of one long email address to an estate agent. Good Lord is a fictional memoir of habitation, a genre-defined novelistic text that beautifully evokes the people and places of our lives, the spaces of work, those that may or may not be home, sites of trauma and ecstasy. It has already won a prestigious award for poetry, so that gives you an idea of what they mean by genre-defying, because it has been nominated for both a poetry award and a prose fiction award. So that gives you an idea. Rough Trade Books is a publishing house brought to you by the minds behind Rough Trade Records. This new adventure in capitalism, which they put in quotes, is in the spirit of the pioneering independent record label, trading books and other wares of the same originality and radical direction. Another fan-frickin-tastic long list. I have, in the last 5 hours, purchased 6 of these books. Yay! And my husband is very curious about what I keep doing, buying all these books, but that's okay. Yeah, why don't you guess which 6 of the 10 I've purchased already, and let me know in the comments if you have any guesses. I knew about 2 of these books, only 2. Whereas I feel like Republic of Consciousness, US, well, that makes sense. I live in the US, but Okay, anyway, I knew about 2 of these. Feel free to guess if you'd like in the comments which 2 I already knew about. And how about I do an unboxing when they arrive, all 6 of these books arrive from the UK. That'll be fun. I'll share that. Yeah, so leave your comments below and join my Discord if you'd like. If you want to talk about these books or any other books from small presses, I'll leave a link in the description below. It's an amazing group of readers over there, so I hope you'll join us. My name is Sarah. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.